Welcome to Stylo Stories. I'm here to help you relax today. I know many of you use these videos to fall asleep, so before you drift off, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And let us know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. Christmas is a time of gifts, but sometimes the most important gift isn't wrapped, it waits. Tonight on Stylo Stories, we tell the story of a Christmas mystery that confused police for years, not because of what was found, but because of what was left behind on purpose. A case where every clue pointed in the wrong direction, and where the truth didn't reveal itself until someone finally asked the right question. This is The Last Gift Under the Tree. Missile Lane was one of those streets people moved to for peace. No traffic, no late-night noise, no history of serious crime. At the very end of the lane stood a modest one-story home belonging to Margaret Lewis, age 62. Margaret was known for three things: never missing Sunday service, baking too many cookies every December, and decorating her living room like a Christmas postcard. She lived alone after her husband passed away years earlier. Her children had moved out of state. On Christmas Eve 2014, Margaret expected no visitors. That's why what police found the next morning didn't make sense. At 8:17 a.m., a neighbor noticed Margaret's front door was unlocked. The porch light was still on. The radio inside was playing a Christmas station. But Margaret didn't answer the door. Police arrived shortly after. They found Margaret seated peacefully in her armchair near the fireplace. No signs of struggle, no damage to the home. But something immediately caught the officer's attention. Under the Christmas tree, there was one single gift, wrapped carefully, neatly placed, with a handwritten tag that read, "For Margaret, open last." Margaret never opened it. Detectives searched the house carefully. Nothing appeared stolen, no forced entry, no disturbance. The kitchen counter held a clean mug, a plate with half a cookie, and a receipt from the grocery store dated December 23rd. The fireplace had been lit recently, and yet something felt staged. Everything was too neat. When detectives asked neighbors if they'd seen anyone visit Margaret, the answers were strange. Several neighbors reported seeing Christmas lights turning on and off late at night. One neighbor swore they heard laughter inside the house around 11 p.m. But Margaret was known to be alone. So who was she with? After photographing the scene, detectives finally turned their attention to the gift under the tree. It was heavier than expected. Inside, they found a small wooden box, a cassette tape labeled December 24, and a folded letter. The letter was written in Margaret's handwriting. It said, "If you're reading this, I kept my promise. I hope you finally understand." Understand what? No one knew. Margaret had never mentioned any promise to anyone. The cassette tape was sent to the lab. What was on it would change the entire investigation. The tape began with static, then Margaret's voice, calm, clear, almost comforting. She spoke about Christmas traditions, about decorating the tree alone, about missing her children. Then her tone changed. She said, "Some gifts aren't meant to be kept. Some are meant to be returned." There was a pause. Then another voice appeared. A man, quiet, older, familiar. Detectives froze. because that voice didn't belong to a stranger. It belonged to Walter Lewis, Margaret's husband, a man declared dead 9 years earlier. Walter Lewis was believed to have passed away from a medical episode in 2005. There was no investigation at the time, no suspicion. Margaret was devastated. But now, here was his voice, alive on tape, laughing softly, speaking as if he was sitting right beside her. Detectives reopened the death records. They found something odd. Walter was pronounced dead at home. No autopsy was ever performed. The doctor who signed the papers retired shortly after. Nothing illegal, but now questionable. The question became unavoidable. Had Walter really died? Police re-interviewed neighbors. One woman, Mrs. Calder, hesitated before speaking. Then she admitted something she'd never told anyone. Every December, without fail, Margaret would set 2 cups on her kitchen table. And on Christmas Eve nights, Mrs. Calder would sometimes see 2 shadows through the living room curtains. She assumed Margaret had company, but no one ever stayed the night. Until now. During a second, deeper search of the house, investigators noticed inconsistencies in the floor plan. A wall behind the coat closet sounded hollow. Behind it, they found a small hidden room. Inside, a cot, old books, medication, winter coats, and a second radio. Someone had been living there, quietly, for years. The tape continued. Walter explained everything. He hadn't died. He had suffered a medical episode that caused confusion and memory loss. Margaret panicked. She feared he would be placed in long-term care, so she hid him. At first, temporarily, then longer, then permanently. Walter became the secret gift she kept, hidden from the world. Every Christmas Eve, they spent the night together, listening to music, talking softly, pretending nothing had changed. Until this Christmas. On the tape, Margaret says, "I promised I wouldn't keep you forever." Walter's condition had worsened. He was tired, confused, weak. Margaret knew she couldn't protect him anymore. So they made a decision. Christmas would be their final night together. Not a crime of violence, not a moment of fear. A quiet ending, planned, controlled, and hidden behind tradition. The gift under the tree wasn't for Margaret. It was for the truth. Margaret's careful routine had fooled everyone. Groceries bought in small amounts, radio noise to mask movement, lights turned on and off to suggest company, no visitors late at night. She didn't see herself as hiding someone. She saw herself as keeping a promise made out of love and fear. After reviewing all evidence, authorities ruled no crime committed, no charges filed. The case was closed as a tragic example of isolation, aging, and desperation. The tape was sealed, the hidden room dismantled. The gift under the tree was returned to evidence storage, unopened again, because its purpose had already been fulfilled.
Case 2. Most houses don't respond when you speak to them. They don't remember your voice. They don't answer questions. But in December of 2019, one house did. Tonight on Stylo Stories, we explore a true Christmas mystery that left investigators unsettled, not because of what they found inside the home, but because the home itself seemed to be part of the story. This is the house that answered back. Redwood Avenue sat just outside a growing suburban town. New families, new construction, old land. At number 118 stood a house that had changed owners 4 times in 10 years, not because of crime, not because of damage. People simply didn't stay. In December 2019, the house belonged to Aaron Whitmore, a 34-year-old freelance sound editor who worked from home. Quiet, methodical, obsessed with audio detail. Aaron moved in during early November, hoping the isolation would help him focus before the holidays. He would not make it to New Year's. Aaron wasn't particularly festive, but he decorated anyway. A small tree, white lights, no ornaments. Neighbors later told police something strange. Every night in December, the lights in Aaron's house followed a pattern. Living room on, hallway on, kitchen on, then all off at exactly 11:47 p.m. Every night, even when Aaron wasn't home. No one questioned it until Christmas Eve. At 10:18 p.m., emergency services received a short, incomplete call. No screaming, no panic, just a man saying, "I think the house is replaying me." The call disconnected. Dispatch attempted to call back. No answer. Officers were sent to the address, but before they arrived, a second call came in. This time, the voice wasn't Aaron's. It said, "You already asked that." Then silence. Police arrived at 10:31 p.m. The house was lit. The front door was unlocked. Inside, everything looked normal. Shoes neatly placed, tree lights glowing, a pot of coffee still warm. Aaron was found sitting on the living room floor, alive, uninjured, shaking. He kept repeating one sentence, "It knows where I stood." At the station, Aaron calmed enough to explain. As an audio editor, he often recorded ambient noise, room tone, silence, echoes. A few nights earlier, he noticed something odd in his recordings. When he played back audio captured in the house, there were responses. Not voices, not words, but sounds that didn't belong. If he coughed, the playback echoed the cough seconds later, even though the room had been empty. If he walked, footsteps appeared on the recording after he stopped. Aaron assumed it was interference until Christmas Eve. At 9:42 p.m., Aaron set up a microphone in the living room. He spoke aloud. "Is someone here?" Silence. He waited. Then the playback file, untouched, created a new waveform, a soft sound, a floorboard creak, not present in real time, only on the recording. Then Aaron asked something else. "Have you heard me before?" The playback responded with something unmistakable, the sound of a chair sliding, the same chair Aaron moved the night he moved in. Aaron realized something terrifying. The sounds weren't random, they were his, replayed in the exact order he had made them over weeks. Coughs, footsteps, drawers opening, but layered together, out of sequence, as if the house was remembering him. At 11:01 p.m., Aaron whispered, "What do you want?" The playback responded with the sound of breathing. Not his, slower, deeper. That's when he made the first emergency call. Detectives checked records for the house. They discovered something unsettling. Each previous resident had filed minor complaints, hearing their name whispered, sounds repeating after movement, feeling watched only when the house was quiet. One former tenant had written in a lease termination note, "It doesn't forget."
At the time, it was dismissed as stress. Now, it felt like a warning. Police returned to the house with audio specialists. They recreated Aaron's setup. At 11:47 p.m., all the lights shut off automatically. Then the recording equipment captured something no one made. A voice. Not spoken, but constructed from layered sounds. Footsteps shaped into syllables. Breathing turned into tone. The message, once isolated, was clear. Stay. Historical records revealed that before the house was built, the land hosted a temporary housing site decades earlier. Residents rotated frequently, no long-term stays, no permanent ownership. One archived journal entry from 1974 described the area as a place where sound lingers longer than it should. The theory investigators formed wasn't paranormal, it was psychological and environmental. Experts suggested the house's structure, materials, and layout created extreme acoustic feedback loops. Sound vibrations became stored patterns, not conscious, not alive, but persistent, like an echo with memory. Aaron, constantly recording, had unknowingly fed the system. The house didn't speak, it repeated. Before leaving the house permanently, Aaron requested one last recording. He stood in the living room and said, "I'm leaving." The playback responded minutes later, not with a word, but with the sound of a door closing, the same door from the inside. Aaron refused to listen to anything else recorded that night. Aaron moved out immediately. The house was sold again the following spring, renovated, soundproofed, rewired. No further incidents reported. But neighbors say something still happens every Christmas Eve. At 11:47 p.m., the lights turn off. Some places don't remember faces, they remember patterns. And sometimes what answers back isn't trying to speak, it's just repeating what it was given. Thank you for listening to Stylo Stories. If this story stayed with you, like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be careful what you leave behind.